So now we'll extend it out further to the entire country of America. So we'll develop loving kindness and now extend it to the entire country. And then after doing that for a bit, then we'll extend it further to the entire world. And we do this because every sentient being, no matter who it might be, all sentient beings are alike in not wanting suffering and in wanting happiness. So then to kind of bring happiness to those beings and to develop the wish to help these beings, then we're going to develop this virtuous mindset, like a virtuous attitude towards these beings, and develop loving kindness, the mind of loving kindness for these beings, not just for your own kind of circle of close loved ones, but for the entire world.
대다게 되네 니주공 윤주 되네 림베 다동야 진짜지 야기에 버와 야기엔다 로바 자불링 참아 에 자불링이 샤르는 조디야 링신 링denk 샤르고야 대다 폴고야 네 차고야 네 띵다고 초시 삼제 참아 지단기 다들 교회는 이 샤탄 동자 하람 나왔는데 보면도 봐. 이제 가시도 이제 다그 더불어서 기마때 이제 리베르 컴퓨터 이슈체도 좀 공부요 봐. 어디도 보자야. 이제 잡아 보면 백해 잡고 이제 로스.
So then when we cultivate loving kindness, normally we do it. There are a few more stages as well. So you start with your own, region and your own country, and then you expand it to the whole world, which, like the southern continent of Jambudvipa, for instance, and then you go, you focus on the other continents in the universe as well. So the other corners of the universe, of the southern continent and the western continent, the northern continent, and so forth. And then above, the worlds above and the worlds below, and you practice in the same manner, extending this loving kindness to the beings living in all of, in the entire universe. And so, in this way, when we kind of do a formal practice of developing loving kindness, the whole kind of process that is laid out usually takes about a month, and it won't necessarily arise right away. It takes a while, and then as you start to develop loving kindness, it will grow stronger and stronger, and so eventually you are able to develop this very strong loving kindness that extends to the whole universe, and so it's developing loving kindness, meditating on loving kindness is very important.
다 호텔에 쉬는 거라서 다 상관없는 대화를 못했음 대화도 이기시고 쌤 기부시고요 봐. 쌤 기부여야지 쌤 기부 마요야 될 가능성 공부시고요 봐. 근데 공부 년부터 참 공부요 봐. 근데 참배쌤 때는 미지 야고 종유나 근데 이 뉴버 친구지 근데 보드 배시고 임시 배시고는 진짜 세바디 야고주는 편이요 봐. 뒷날이 참배쌤이 야고지 유협이는 그냥 나리는 나기 예고 대바삼기 디셈기 나지 기부이었습니다. 다들 내가 지금 제가 레공체가 도와주시는 미다 튜브 조금하고 여야 아니 야 우지 있는 말 내가 신에 있는 연구 삼월로 튜브다 기부여야 어디대 때도 일이 아주 좋아하는 편을 좀 보시러 이 마사지다 다 주저나리는 기부 먹고 차야 디바드 디바 먹고 차야 참배기 타도 디나 소로 참배기 양배 랍 참배 정도 점딩 타숨 소도 와 근데 참배 첸 때문에 좀 유나 근데 바로 부배는 never to stop in treasure the power and treasure the collega macheva 야만데 개비 있는 데 마포부터 어때 라고 상계 준된데 시대는 도시대로 야사마게 말한데 뒤마고 천재 제배가라 참배딩인지 슈니 and to the 상계 어디 참배딩인지 슈배가라 아니 지 천재라서 메돌 파유리아 안타나 신기 포먼세마도 상원로 개mol이야. 근데 Sange Namda Duba, Sange Vagala, did the movie Chabe Duba, the Sunduba, the Payama, which is Suya, Chabe Sendi, any Shiana Part, Pema Cheraka, Chanju Sem, you do your work, and Chanju Sendi, Lale Chiki Chikinala, and the Pond Chu Begala, Chanchuba, Chanjuran was the Toba Chow, Chanjuran was the kind of thing. At the Modi, Chanju Sem Gidansubi, and Modi. It is how big Sange Sudu Yoma, Chanju Sem Gidansu, Sange, Shidangi Modi, Yala, and Chanju Sem Gidansu, this Sange, and the Yamaki Chichi, the Nimbuda, Nimbu Given, and so people think we have so there is. If you are this any Kashi Gama Justin to Chanjusum go in a class and you didn't Yamlen call, you know, to understand degree.
So there are very many benefits to the practice of loving kindness that are taught in different scriptures. But if we kind of summarize them, the main point, or the core benefit that we get from practicing loving kindness is that basically, all of us, we are looking for some kind of mental happiness. Our mind needs some kind of happiness, some kind of comfort, mental comfort. And the thing that destroys mental happiness is anger. So loving kindness is the antidote to anger. Furthermore, when you develop loving kindness, and someone who has really trained their mind in loving kindness gets a lot of kind of power, a lot of ability from that practice. So it's like the example we talked about earlier of the doctor whose medicines are just very effective because of the power of his loving kindness. So when you have developed loving kindness yourself, you're able to kind of bring that happiness and comfort to others. You're able to actually put that into practice. And so, whether you're at home, if you have a strong practice of loving kindness, then at home things will be pleasant and harmonious. When you go to work, when you go to the office, you'll get along with people. You'll have a lot of friends. And then whether it's your boss or whether it's the workers under you, you'll just be on good terms with everyone, and it'll just be kind of smooth sailing. So there are just these very great benefits that we can feel in our daily life from the practice of loving kindness. Furthermore, beyond just daily life, we can also see in terms of Dharma practice, loving kindness can help us purify a lot of sinful deeds. They also define different levels of loving kindness. So, the highest form of someone who's like the most accomplished in loving kindness, the middle level and then lesser level and so forth. But for someone who really has fully accomplished, really authentic, real kind of true loving kindness, they're able to really extend the benefits to others as well. So for example, if there's some harm, like a weapon or some kind of danger to a being in their presence, someone with the highest form of loving kindness is able to actually block that danger. So they can make the weapon, if something's flying, some weapon is flying at someone, they can either kind of divert it so that, or make it such that it doesn't strike them in the first place, or that if it strikes them, it doesn't actually cause any harm to their body. So we see this, for example, in the story of the Buddha's life when he's at Bodh Gaya, and just before he reaches enlightenment, there are all these different demons and maras that show up with weapons, and the Buddha enters into a samadhi, or a meditation, a meditative concentration on loving kindness. And it's within that samadhi that he actually comes to enlightenment. But while... So it's called, the name of the samadhi is the great loving kindness. So he enters into this meditative state of great loving kindness. And what happens is that the weapons that these demons are throwing, directing at him, attacking him with, all turn into flowers. And then they've also sent all of these incredibly attractive women to distract him. And all of those women there just turn into extremely unattractive kind of hags. And so, this is basically the power, in other words, the demons are not able to harm him. Everything they send at him, gets turned back, and it's due to the power, this is a benefit of the mind of loving kindness. That this mind of loving kindness, when it's fully developed, can actually change the minds of others, can actually affect others, not just yourself. So it's when we really fully develop loving kindness, that's when we gain enlightenment, in other words. So again, this idea that one meaning of enlightenment is like full, complete development. So when you've completely developed loving kindness, that is enlightenment. That the essence of that is enlightenment. That is the very nature of bodhicitta. And so because of that, there is no further essence, no kind of essential nature that is beyond that or better than that. That is enlightenment, that is Buddhahood. So we say that hell, for instance, the physical expression of hatred is hell. So hell is kind of like the embodiment of hatred. And the same way, the flip side is that bodhicitta, the physical expression of bodhicitta is Buddhahood. So therefore the practice...
Mental formation.
Mental formation. So like the mental formation of like the shape that hatred takes, the formation that it takes it gets expressed as hell. And the same way that the mental formation of bodhicitta is Buddhahood, is enlightenment. So therefore the practice, because this all kind of stems from the practice of bodhicitta and that from loving kindness, this practice is just so incredibly important. And it is and so this is the essence of the essence of Mahayana practice. In the Mahayana vehicle, this is absolutely the most essential practice. So now we have a few minutes left, so I think just for the next 10 minutes, we can take questions about how to practice bodhicitta and also questions about practicing in daily life.
Thank you for being here and thank you for teaching us. Very happy to have you here. My question is, when thinking about love, like when I was thinking about my mom when she was breastfeeding, I feel like this love. Now, is the love what we wish everybody feels, or what does it mean to extend it?
Ani zewadi biguris labda ani chik situation that zewadi rawa the thumas samaria not so zewadi mishandala the mirila amala zewa namshin mirila the social semnana left to be a go the amena Quran so semnana zewadi left.
The near the Jaya Jamaica. 장배가 라케랑기 아마라 아니 다소수기 부글을 써와 있는데 아마라 써와 있는데 디더블 써와디 소라지요 이 장네 이 장네 이 지단 하다 토마케가 미지를 못 끼기요 말라 이 슈고디 니 샤다 소소 아마도 찍어다보지 샤다라 당시 깨워 장고 이 자야체 이 베베가 다나시리 이 소소기 베바디 자야 내지요 참배 셈기리 베비는 파조를 셈 시당 셈이는 참배 셈 미데 베베 디슈기 셈이 규리알 데요 그러와 민이 그러와 년하다 소소 자네 자야 대치고와 자야 디소스 마지 부지 세번 나히지 미가갈 디 나히지 개와 개발 매버지 기야 장고와
So there's kind of two steps, but the first one where we start is by practicing this ourselves. So we're really like training ourselves in this practice. And so, for instance, if you're thinking of your mother, you know, if we're talking about the love that a mother has for her only child, you know, or the love that, you know, if you want to take, for example, the love that you have for your mother, you're cultivating that feeling. And you're practicing calling up that experience and developing it in your own mind. And then you start to extend it to others by picking one person. And so the point is that whatever the feeling that you have for your mother is, you want to have that same feeling for the other person. So there's no difference from your point of view between, you know, that initial feeling that you've been cultivating, like the, you know, like again, the love that a mother has for her only child, that feeling, you see every single being as being like your only child, right? So the way, you know, like the test of, you know, we know that you are fully trained in loving kindness when you have absolutely no discrimination between other beings, when every single being you have that same sensation for.
Yes, no different from you. Enemy and your mother in equal, then this is the top. You have to practice it, leverage it.
Thank you so much.
So the second step then is when once you have developed this degree of love, then that loving kindness can actually change other people's minds. So then your loving kindness can actually help them to get rid of their own hatred and develop their own loving kindness. But that comes later.
First you learn, second you use to other.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Holiness, for being here. I really value the opportunity to practice. So because I want to really get a sense of how it feels, and my questions, during the practice with somebody very close to me, I felt tears, but I'm thinking, would the pure essence of loving kindness have that? Could that have that sensation of tears, or is not quite loving kindness?
Michegna de Gomna and Michu this Lepido, and the Jamba Trumbo said in Michu lip cigarettes, they Trumbo me big targets,
Michu Tayadi, Semlish, that's some good here, Darwa. Chamba Trumbo Signeti, Tixiova, the pure Signeti, and the Dangi. Sub-interesting magic. And when Yaja Gatamba, Pajomo, Chitu, Rangi came in my imaging powder. Chuna Chamba the Trumpurva.
So, you know, tears are a sign that you've been moved, you know, that your mind has been moved. But when we're talking about whether or not loving kindness is pure, what it really means to be pure is that it has not a single iota of self-interest. Not, it is 100% focused on the other person. And so your own kind of self-interest, your own needs are not entering in at all. So when you have that, then that is pure loving kindness.
Sometimes when we think about people that we have affection for, that we feel loving kindness for, these are people who have gone, who have died, family members, friends. When we think of them in that way, we think of that as the same sort of loving kindness, and do we extend benefit to them, hopefully, by considering them in this way?
希望
No.
是
That's so
神啊，这个平安的吧。这篇人际创个是度，人际创，人际的，根本就是说的，人际上面讲了，自我同的，强迫同，强迫集中同的，给人际自我同的给什么？自我的。 ene nege nane te lakwa kangpa che ne ma ta ma su pa so wo to su sa kya to de chuma ta ning ji so wa ye de cho su ma ji ta mi ji nege na ene hia gi ta chi we ka le nege pe nyam kyo jo wa kyo gi ta di su ta de pe ji ta gi shi na shi cha ma ning ji ya de ji kwa de bu ze de yi ne cho wa di de shi ning ji so wa to shu che da.
So I think here that we kind of enter into the realm of compassion. So when we're thinking of those who've passed away, we're kind of more thinking in terms of compassion usually. So Lord Jigten Sungkun said about compassion, just like that loving kindness arises when you look at an incredibly lovely child, compassion arises when you see a leper, so someone suffering from leprosy. If we think about leprosy, it's one of the most horrible diseases, where literally your hands and feet are falling off, have these wounds that just will never heal. It's just incredibly kind of terrible thing to see, to witness. And so when you see someone experiencing that kind of suffering, the feeling that arises is compassion. When you see someone on death's doorstep, when you see someone, that is just so weak and frail and just so kind of, that kind of poor situation, that's when the feeling that arises there is compassion. So, of course, as we talked about, at the end of the day, there's really not a difference between loving kindness and compassion, but the feeling of compassion tends to be stronger and kind of maybe more visceral, sort of.
I think dedication.
Page 14.
For this realm, it's like page 15. For this realm, encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one without Vikateshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. You are the embodiment of all the precious ones. You, a great being, are the holder and promoter of the teachings of the Shakya Lion. Your perfect actions are for the liberation of sentient beings. May you, the Jetsun Lama, whose enlightened activities are spontaneously present, live long. Precious holder of the triple gem of Jigungpa, who preserves the indisputable practice of the profound Dharma, and realize the sublime truth which reveals peace and illumination. May you who relieve the suffering of limitless beings live long. The one known in the Holy Land as Arya Deva emanated into the guard clan of eastern Tibet as Chudingpa, the heart son of Jigme Rinpoche. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. In this age of strife, when the victor's teaching faces hardship, through his powerful Raja-like conduct, he takes upon himself the heavy responsibility of the unbiased teaching. May Garchen, the son of the teachings, live long.
Page 9.